Kennedy had been shot, and I thought they must mean he's been shoved or he's been shot. And I turned the thing up, and that was it.
Wow.
So Oswald shot, so the whole thing.
You were here when that happened.
And the Lewis show, yeah.
Wow.
The Lewis show went a few more weeks. It was faltering some, and that I think that put the nail in its coffin. Nobody wanted to be laughing and scratching much for a while.
No. So you have quite a few Los Angeles stories that you could tell us, probably.
I guess so. I finally made it to the La Brea Tar Pits. And that's a must. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't like all tar pits, but I do love the La Brea Tar Pits.
And tell us about Friday night. That's exciting.
What's Friday
When you went
night?
on the show, when you went on the Late Show.
Oh, the late show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was late. The car and my calendar had two totally different times for when I was supposed to be there. And if you saw the show, it might have looked like I should have commented on, was it Tina, the lady who, but because we were creeping through horrible traffic, they had to start. They taped the last two sections ahead of my getting there, and then put me in as the opening one. So I had no idea. It hadn't happened as far as I was concerned. Well, that's a strange thing to have happened. But he's awfully good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he deserves good stuff.
I agree. But that must have been exciting and fun to be back,
Yeah.
you know, and on LA too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I have to ask you: is it odd to play yourself in this show?
I've
Is
never given it a thought because it would be too dangerous.
Right.
I just go out and say the words and try not to think how I would say them.
Right. Was it a little overwhelming at first when they were giving you the script and you have, do because you're used to playing things probably more naturally. Now you have to memorize all these lines.
Well, yeah, to have to memorize what you supposedly are saying automatically is strange. But Brian Morey did such a good job of it that it was no problem.
Yeah.
So I didn't have you starting sentences like awkward high school writing. Did I understand you to say, those little things that nobody ever says? I tell you is always in bad scripts. I've never heard anyone say I tell you in real life. It's a shame I tell you. You just can't do it. Maybe Al Pacino could make it.
I bet you, yeah. and what happens after this? Tell us how long the show goes for.
It's 2 more weeks as we sit here now, being immortalized by camera and recording device, and that's it. Then I got a brief event in Florida, kind of favor to a relative, and then I hope a month or so of uninterrupted Montauk in my house out there, which I miss.
Yes.
And my wife misses it too.
Oh.
I just thought I'd throw that in.
I met her that night. She's so sweet.
Oh yeah,
she's wonderful.
Great.
Yeah.
She has written 8 best-selling business books.
Wow, smart.
With Peppers and Rogers is the well-thought-of company that she and Peppers put together, and they're sought after all over the world.
Oh my gosh.
Books are in 16 languages.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so then that would be you're doing it at the Saban for one night.
Yes, how about that? Is that a good idea?
Let's talk about that. That's a great theater.
Well, the Saban is home for me too because the great, and I say this myself, special that I did there with Mel Brooks 2 years ago for HBO is, but on the stage you can't see anything.
Right.
So I didn't know what the beautiful theater looked like inside until a couple of weeks ago.
Right. It is pretty.
So
It's
yeah.
very different from here, but you like the intimacy here. I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, I do like it.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling because you feel like people are, well, they have to watch you because they're so close.
Right. Right.
But 2 things you must have your audience that you command do as if they possibly miss Dick Cavett's Watergate,
Right.
to see that and they'll never forget it. And I'm not the one responsible for how good it is. But I had all the Watergate baddies, everybody but the great unindicted co-conspirator himself.
Right.
And it's compelling for 1 hour. It's one of the
Yes.
most beautifully put together documentaries I've ever seen. Nixon asks if I'm a Jew. He talks about Ted Kennedy's kike lawyers. And his anti-Semitism and his foul mouth, I think, well, particularly his unbelievably filthy language, is part of his obsession with his manhood. He was a real man, he will say about somebody. I don't say as distinct from an artificial man or what. Anyway, so, and you can always go to YouTube, Google Cavett Nixon, and see the line to his lickspittle, H.R. Haldeman. That's an old Elizabethan term, by the way. Cavett, what can we do to screw him? And he found out. A lady on my staff accidentally found that another lady on my staff after that had been audited, and then they found that other people had. And the president had audited my staff in his favorite hobby of illegally using the IRS to punish people.
Wow.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear Carl Bernstein say right near the beginning of the documentary, the day he had this landslide re-election, the day that you should have heard on the tapes, what a great thing happened, we must thank so-and-so, and now we can do great things for the country. How can we screw this son of a bitch who didn't support us, wreck this guy's business? And, he was a dreadful man. And Carl Bernstein says, from that moment, we had a criminal presidency.
Wow.
Nixon and Agnew, whose letters of his name I have the anagram curse. If you rearrange them, spell grow a penis. And I wish I'd known that when he was on my show, the dullest guest I ever had. You didn't go to him for laughs.
The great thing about social media, again, is that when we put this article up, I can actually link YouTube clips.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, we can link all kinds of video and a little bit of maybe from the show.
Yeah.
Is there any clips that hey, I like, this is my favorite YouTube clip that's up, or do you have
You can probably get a great bit of Groucho and Muhammad Ali and Hepburn. I would recommend the Hepburn clip where I remind her that we were in a play together and she doesn't quite remember, and she says, "Is that the way you said it?"
She asked you to say the line, right?
Is that the way you said it?
That was fabulous.
It was set in 1973, if I believe you're right.
And when they show a clip like that, they cut the laugh. They'll show a Letterman thing on the news, and they'll do the punchline, and that were two women there. Cut.
Right.
You never hear the audience laugh.
Wow.
Well, that's our
She laughed, though. Her laugh was great.
her laugh.
She had her knee. I remember I've seen the clip a million times. She's up like this, and she's so casual.
And the stagehand, I said, let's secretly tape her when she comes in to check the studio, not to do the show that day. And I'll take the blame, but she doesn't know television. She won't always showing moving the camera. And later I thought, I better tell her. And she said, well, goodbye forever, Mr. Cavett. And she said, no, I'll send someone in to look at it.
Yeah.
A page said that a woman came in the next day with a babushka covering all of this much. We knew who it was in the jungle jacket and the slacks and the sandals. Which she says 40 sets of those, she said. You waste half your life deciding what to wear. I wear the same thing every day.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And that moment where she said, why do we have this fence? Can you take that out? So I'm paraphrasing, but this is on YouTube. I said, well, we'd have to unscrew the, don't tell me what's wrong, just fix it. That's a good bit.
That's a great, and where did you meet Groucho for the first time?
The day of George S. Kaufman's funeral, walked afterwards, I realized I was sitting in the same room with my idol, Groucho Marx, 8 feet away. And afterwards, he and Art Carney, young folks need asterisks here, and Abe Burrows, a very funny writer, parted. Groucho was alone. I went up and got off one of my most brilliant lines. I'm a big fan of yours, Groucho. And he said, well, if it gets any hotter, I could use a big fan. And that was the beginning of our long relationship.
Oh, wow. And what year was that?
Last night I threw in maybe sneaking out of a party perhaps I was bored, and he would call and ask me if I wanted to go to the movies, and I just never could believe it. Sneaking out of this party, the hostess was over and says, "Slipping out, Mr. Marks?" And he said, "I've had a wonderful evening, but this wasn't it." I have to get ready soon.
Okay, and my last question is, when you come out at the end and you talk with the audience, which is such an extra added plus.
That's great fun.
It's really, really fun. Is there anything that you ask people, do you have any questions? Is there anything you wish somebody would ask, or you're waiting for someone to ask, or are you just ready for whatever they ask?
No, I like when the ice gets thin. It's sort of the danger of it makes it fun. But we haven't had any screaming drunks or exhibitionists who get up and exhibit or anything like that. Sort of thing you get all the time in New York, of course.
Right.
No, there's nobody, nothing like that has happened.
But that's such a great, to me, that's an extra added bonus to the show, is when you come back out at the end.
Yeah.
I do.
Once, I'm immortalized apparently with my legacy on HuffPost Live.
Mm-hmm.
They excerpted from an interview, they call it a squib or something they put on the screen, a little quote. David Frost had died that day, and it says, Dick Cavett, when asked about the death of David Frost, "Why is it never Dick Cheney?" You can do as you wish with that.
Now, I know you have to get ready.